Alright, you guys, I fucking hate self-doubt. But more about that later. Let's start the show! There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God, there's just you and I. Welcome to There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die. I'm your host, Daniel Cartier, and I am coming to you live from the Bible Belt. I am a gay, liberal atheist, and I live here with my partner, Corey, and our 3 amazing dogs that we rescued. Anyways, this is my second episode, and I won't lie, a lot of feelings. I'm going to talk about my feelings a lot tonight because doing this podcast brought up so much stuff. But before I get into my feelings, I want to just clear the air. I just want to let you know, this is not the Evil Atheist podcast. It's not the I Hate Religious People podcast. It's not anything like that. So if you are religious or you're conservative or, I'm sure a lot of you aren't gay, that's fine. I still love you. I love everybody. My job in life, I think, is to be as loving as possible. I think that's all of our jobs, personally. I think that our jobs while we're here are to be the love we want to see in the world. And we forget about that all the time because society, I don't know, it starts telling us that it's all about winning. And don't get me wrong, it's great to accomplish things. Like I just started this podcast, and of course I want it to be successful. I want people to watch it because it's more fun to know that I'm not just talking to myself. Even if I was just talking to myself, I'd probably still do this because this is a podcast I wanted to do for a long time. I'm one of those people, I do art and I do music, but it seems like I'm walking around and there's so much stuff happening in life that I have thoughts about. Politics, religion, injustice, all sorts of stuff. And so this podcast is a way for me to voice my opinion as a quote-unquote gay liberal atheist living in the Bible Belt, but that people can come on and watch, and they don't have to necessarily agree with me for us to possibly still get along. So anyways, welcome. I'm glad you're all here, regardless of what you think of me. Even if you pressed play because you wanted to get pissed off listening to me because you didn't like the title of the podcast, I'm still glad you're here. So yeah, a quick recap of my feelings. Let's talk about my feelings. So I'm a people pleaser, and it's something that I've grappled with my whole life. And there's nothing wrong with being nice or pleasing people, but when our whole identity is pleasing other people and not really paying attention to our own needs, that can be a problem. And so this podcast is a great example of that because it's something I wanted to do, but I was so worried about upsetting people, especially like my friends who are religious. And of course, I have tons of friends who are religious because I live here in the Bible Belt. And not just that, there's also the fear of what type of crazy people am I going to instigate by doing this? For instance, like the crazy rednecks who have their pickup trucks and their gun racks and God's guns and glory or whatever the hell they think. I don't know. And so I was very scared to start doing this podcast just because of where I live. I live in a really conservative part of the country, and we live right in the center of town. And so it's like I could easily picture somebody finding out that I'm that evil, godless guy on the internet talking about how there is no God and we're all going to die and, like killing me or something. And so anyways, I posted the first video, and that was a very nervous thing for me to do. But I did. So then we went out for a couple hours, and when we came back, the podcast was already everywhere. It was on Spotify, it was on Apple Podcasts, it was on like a bunch of other podcast services I've never even heard of, like Pocket Cast. And anyways, so it was all over the place, and the filmed version was on YouTube, and so it was like really out there. And so I just very gingerly closed my computer, and we had a nice night. I made dinner, and then all through the night I was just tossing and turning, and I woke up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? They all know that I'm the evil atheist now. And I started freaking out about it. But here's the cool thing. The feedback started coming in, and so far I haven't gotten any negative feedback, and that's fine. I actually welcome negative feedback. I think all views count. And so, hey, like if you hate this podcast and you hate the fact that I'm an atheist and you hate the fact that I say we're all going to die, which I don't know why you would, because even if you do believe there's a God, you can't deny the fact that we're all going to die. Like, we are all going to die. And there's a reason why that phrase is in the title of my podcast. Anyways, the feedback has been really cool. One of the coolest bits of feedback I got was actually from a woman who, to the best of my knowledge, is conservative. I think she's also a Christian, and I know for a fact she's not gay. But she actually sent me a really beautiful message, and she said, "Oh my God, your podcast, although I don't agree with you on, the God thing or politics, and I just loved your podcast. I really loved how loving you were, and I really loved all the feeling behind it, and I can't wait for the next episode." And so honestly, getting feedback like that means the world to me, because my whole point in doing this isn't to be the evil atheist podcast. My whole point is to look at the fact that we're just here for a brief moment. Our lives are like a blip in the big grand scheme of things. And for me, as an atheist who truly believes when I die, it's lights out, it's made me really think about how I'm spending my time here and what I'm doing with the minutes that I'm allowed to have. Because at some point, those minutes are going to expire and I will draw my last breath. And for me, I think that's it. I think my body will continue to nourish the earth. It'll break down and nourish other things, but I'll be gone. My thoughts will cease. And then after a while, it'll be like I was never here. And so what do I want my life to be like? Well, I am here. And so that is kind of what this podcast is more about. And the reason why I say there is no God is, well, A, because I don't believe in God, but B, forces me to show up for myself. I understand that when people pray for other people, I think they do it with good intentions. But for me, if I really believe in something, it's up to me to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty and work towards that thing. Because for the longest time, when I still kind of did believe in God, I was kind of waiting for God to do stuff for me. And at the end of the day, I think stuff just happens. I increase my chances to have a life that I want to have if I show up and I do the work. And so as an atheist, that's how I view things. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get into some shameless self-promotion. Self-promotion. Look at all the cool stuff that I'm doing. Yeah. All right, that's my little self-promotion music tag. You guys, I'm such a dork. So just very quickly, I just want to let you know what's going on with me. I'm always promoting stuff, and so before I get too far into the episode, I want to just let you know, I have an acoustic album that's about to be released. If you go to my website, danielcartier.com, you can purchase an advanced copy, and you can also see all the other cool stuff, like the art that I have for sale. All my art goes towards animal rescue and continued care of my handicapped dog pack. If you want to call this podcast with questions or comments or just your thoughts on anything, I would love to have your voicemail be on the show. All you need to do is go to speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna die. Let me repeat that again. Speak pipe, like when you speak and then a pipe that you would hit somebody over the head with. speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna GONNA die. speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna die. That's where you go to call into the show and become a podcast superstar. Lastly, I do public speaking. If you ever wanted me to come to your college or wherever, I don't know, and talk about being a gay liberal atheist living in the Bible Belt and whatever the hell else my wacky brain would scare people with, go to my website and send me a message via the contact form, danielcartier.com. Anyways, that's enough promotion from me. Let's get into the rest of the show. 10 things, 10 totally random things. Okay, so this segment is called 10 Things. I basically list off 10 random things I'm thinking about right now. Thing number 1, enough with the pesticides. Y'all, we are killing insects so friggin' fast. So basically, over the last 40 years, the insect population is probably decreased by about 45%. The insect population is dying off really fast. And so here's what I found online. Insect populations have been declining rapidly worldwide, with some studies suggesting a 20 to 75% drop in abundance, diversity, and biomass over recent decades. This decline poses a significant threat to ecosystems and agriculture. Insect extinction is 8 times faster than birds, mammals, and reptiles. A 2023 meta-analysis of 16 studies found a 45% decline in insect populations over the previous 40 years. Climate change and habitat loss are the primary drivers of the decline, but the other things that are moving it are basically our addictions to lawns with nothing to pollinate, pesticides, people thinking that they just have to put 7 dust all over their entire fucking lawn. You know, when you put that stuff on, it actually kills everything. It kills butterflies, it kills bees, grasshoppers, it kills pretty much fucking everything. You're basically just turning your whole lawn into a giant death trap for any bugs. And then also for all the birds that eat the bugs, that poison goes into them. So yeah, we need to, I think as human beings, rethink our relationship with insects. And I know that it's annoying when bugs come in your house and nobody wants cockroaches crawling over their house. I mean, I get that. But I do also think if we have like a big yard, like I actually don't mow my entire yard. I purposely leave sections of my yard for pollinators because I feel like it's my job as a citizen of the earth to do what I can, even in my small little way. If everybody did that, like if millions of people did that all over America, it would make a big difference. I see these people with like these huge, vast lawns, and they're just lawns. It's just grass, nothing else but grass. And I think, you know what, that's actually not contributing anything to the planet at all. It's actually hurting the planet. I understand that it's nice to have a lawn, but if you have a big lawn, try to dedicate part of it, to giving insects something, just something. Wasn't as eloquent as I wanted to be about that, but thing number 2, bragging that you're not woke is fucking stupid. Yeah, when I hear people say, go woke, go broke, do you know what you're actually telling me? You're telling me the idea of being enlightened and just being kind and considerate to the identity of other people is somehow unbearable to you. When the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing happened, the transgender influencer who was on the bottle of Bud Light, and everybody started freaking out. Bud Light had gone woke. So then they did this big boycott of Bud Light, and Kid Rock shot up a bunch of cans and was crying because Bud Light, I don't know, slapped him in the face or something, putting a transgender person on one can of Bud Light. Literally, it was like a promotional can. It wasn't even for sale in stores. Now, this happened a while ago. I mean, when I see stuff like that, I think, so basically what you're telling me is you don't even want to acknowledge that somebody like a transgender person exists, because just acknowledging that somehow is going to make you woke. And that's my problem with this whole anti-woke thing. It's this proud ignorance. It's like being proud of being stupid, basically. At the end of the day, you can say that woke is crazy or diversity is crazy, but there will still be gay people. There'll still be people with all different skin colors. There'll still be people of all different nationalities, different religions. There will be transgender people. There'll be non-binary people. There'll be bisexual people, lesbians, gay people, all sorts of people. Because people like that have always existed, which means they always will exist. So you chanting, go woke, go broke, you just sound like the fucking village idiot. No offense, but that's what you sound like. So yeah, bragging that you're not woke is just fucking stupid. All right. What else? Thing number 3, I need a friggin' assistant to basically follow me around all day long and just write down all the ideas that I have, because since last week when I filmed the first episode, all day long, every day, I'm thinking of things that I want to talk about on this podcast. All day long, every day. Walk around, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm on Facebook, I see a story here, I see some horrible thing that's happening here, I see something that's really inspired me here, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta talk about this, I gotta talk about that. And then of course, when it comes time to actually film this fucking thing, I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna talk about? And so then I make this wackadoodle list. It's scrawled in my chicken scratch penmanship And I literally scrawled this out 15 minutes before I started filming. So hopefully over time, as I get more comfortable with this, I can at least be my own assistant and start writing down these ideas as the week progresses. So this is actually just me telling myself, hey, if you're so into this podcast, start writing down the ideas as they happen. Like maybe I should just have like a little pocket notebook. I can start writing down the ideas. Okay, so note to self. Thing number 4, sex is natural. Okay, I know that sounds like a weird thing for me to say, but I've just noticed lately that there's so much puritanical stuff about sex. Like I just was reading somewhere that some fucking Republican person somewhere wanted to outlaw porn, like all porn, which I think is really funny because this is true. The most porn is watched in the Bible Belt. By far, like the ratio of porn being watched in the Bible Belt far outweighs the porn being watched elsewhere. So I just kind of think that the sooner we can just admit that we are all sexual beings. Everybody has sex. We're all the result of sex. Our grandparents had sex. Our parents had sex. I've had tons of sex. Good Lord, I used to be a sex worker. And so, yeah, get over yourselves and have a bunch of friggin' sex. I don't know. That was kind of a dumb one. Number 5. Okay, this is a personal one. Judy Garland should have won the Oscar in 1955 for A Star is Born, not Grace Kelly for A Country Girl. Well, let me explain. My partner, Corey, who I love dearly, he is the man of my dreams, the light of my life. He is a huge Judy Garland fan. I know, a gay person being into Judy Garland. Crazy, right? Well, he is probably the number 1 Judy Garland fan in the whole world. Judy Garland is actually, I would say it's almost like his higher power. Like he gets a lot of inspiration from her life story and her singing. And he actually had this weird psychic thing where even though he was born after she died, he claims to have memories of being at her Carnegie Hall concert. I mean, it would be physically impossible because he wasn't alive, but according to him, vividly remembers being there. So I don't know. Anyways, that's between him and Judy Garland. But anyways, so she's a very important person to him. So we have a lot of Judy Garland playing in our house. And, God, I'm making our house sound so fucking gay. One of his biggest gripes, and it's become one of my biggest gripes too. Nothing against Grace Kelly. She seems perfectly delightful. But A Star is Born was a masterpiece. And in Grace Kelly's defense, I did see A Country Girl. It was kind of a forgettable film. I mean, I think she won because she didn't really wear any makeup. She kind of looked dowdy. Like she kind of slummed it for that. It was like a black and white, like gritty thing where she played the wife of an alcoholic. So I think that's why she won. Anyways, Corey wanted me to mention that Judy Garland should have won the Oscar in 1955. And so that is what I'm saying here, that she should have won. And speaking of that, that brings me to number 6. I want to thank Corey for editing the amazing opening credits. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, you are missing out because the opening credits with my song, There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die, are pretty friggin' amazing. They are these cartoon dogs flying all over the world and blowing up buildings and blowing up houses. And then at the end of the credits, they actually blow me up. So yeah, if you listen to this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, that's great. I'm glad you're here. But when you get a chance, go over to YouTube, type in There Is No God and We're All Gonna Die podcast, and just watch the opening credits. Corey did them. They're fucking hilarious. Thank you, Corey. I love you. You're so talented. And so that's number 6. Number 7, what people think of us is none of our business. God, that is so fucking true, right? So here I am filming this podcast and I'm walking around just talking to myself. I sound very eloquent, but then when I turn a camera on, I'm suddenly aware of what I'm saying. And a lot of times I'm just like, God, I just sound like a fucking idiot. So number 7, what people think of us is none of our business. I just wanted to remind myself of that because doing this podcast, once again, I know I talked about this at the beginning, but I'm going to just repeat myself. You know, if anybody showed up and was hating this podcast, it's actually none of my business. If I'm enjoying doing this, that's all that's important. So I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. While we are here, I think our job is to be loving to one another, but then also look inside our hearts and think, okay, what do I want to do with this one moment of existence I get to enjoy? What is it that would make me happy? What is it that would make me want to get out of bed every day and go charging into the day with as much enthusiasm as I could possibly have? For me, it's definitely doing music, it's doing art, it's being with my friends, it's doing this podcast, which is something I wanted to do for so long. Now, it would be so easy for me with any of those things to say, well, that's a fucking stupid idea. Like, that's so dumb. What I'm actually saying when I say that is other people will think it's stupid. Obviously, I didn't think it was stupid because I had the idea to do it. But when we start censoring ourselves and putting how we think other people are going to perceive what we're doing, man, we are just robbing ourselves of experiencing life to its fullest. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, if your dream is to just run around naked in the middle of town, go do that. Like, granted, let's have some self-control. But like, if you want to run around naked outside, there are places you can actually do that. There's nudist colonies. If you Google being naked in public, there will be plenty of options for you that will come up. I'm just using that as a wacky example, but whatever your dream is, as long as it's not hurting anybody else, I mean, I think that's the barometer. If it's not hurting anybody else and it's something that's giving you joy, go do it. Now, if other people don't like that, that's their business. If it's just you're living your best life, whether it's making art or making music or becoming a lesbian performance artist or I don't know, whatever the hell you want to do, other people may not like it, but it's really none of our business. So anyways, I just wanted to say that as a little reminder to all of us. Number 8. Okay, don't fucking boil lobster. Just fucking don't. It's so fucking cruel, you guys. Like, I don't eat lobster, but this heartbreaking post came up on Facebook. I'm going to read it right here. It's from David Attenborough. He said, "Never eat it. It's an overly intelligent creature. If you absolutely must, remember that death by boiling is an inhumane practice, and in many places illegal. When a lobster is cooked alive, it literally implodes from the pain. The internal organs disintegrate due to the extreme heat, but its exoskeleton remains intact, clinging to its structure and prolonging the animal's agony. Lobsters are conscious enough to feel pain, but because they lack vocal cords, they can't cry out. The high-pitched sound you hear, often mistaken for a scream, is actually steam escaping through tiny pores in the shell as the organs boil. It's among the most painful and cruel deaths any living creature can endure." So, yeah, I'm not telling you not to eat lobster, but do not fucking take a live animal and put it in boiling water. Like, if you saw somebody putting a kitten in boiling water or a puppy, you would be horrified. You'd be like, oh my God, that's fucking boiling water. That's awful. But then a lobster, it's fine. You know, it's just a lobster. Meanwhile, they are alive and their organs are imploding. It's awful. So don't fucking boil lobsters. Don't fucking boil lobsters. Anyways, that's enough about lobsters out of me. 9. I have a friend who writes me handwritten letters, which is really nice, and I get them in the mail. It's kind of a dying art form, but in his last letter, he pointed out the fact that over 1 million Earths can fit in the sun. Think about that. I think it's actually 1.3 million Earths. I might be wrong, but definitely over 1 million. So think about how big the Earth is. Now think about 100 Earths. That would be huge. Think about 1 million Earths. I mean, see, I can't even comprehend how big that is. But that's how many Earths can fit inside the sun. That's how small and insignificant we are. And so when I see us arguing over things like whether or not there's a God, and like religion's been around. I mean, no offense if you're religious, but I'm going to say something that's going to upset you right now. Block your ears maybe. But, you know, religion as we know it's been around for, I don't know, like they'd say like maybe 20,000 years or something. Humanity's only been around for about 300,000 years in our current form. You know, the dinosaurs, 167 million years. The Earth, 4.6 billion years it's been around. So if the whole history of the Earth was condensed into 24 hours, humanity would show up in the last second. And all of our technology and religions and philosophies, like a fraction of that second. But yet here we are killing each other, taking away each other's rights, being general douchebags to each other over, you know, all these different religions that we claim they're the right religion. So I just think that all the stuff that we obsess over in life, it is just so small compared to the big cosmic picture that we get to be a part of. And I think we come up with these things like religion and heaven and stuff to just make sense of the fact that we really can't make sense of any of this. I mean, I can't make any sense out of the fact that you can fit 1.3 million, or even if it's just a million Earths inside the sun. And the sun is a very ordinary star. There are stars out there that dwarf the sun. Like they are like much bigger. So, I mean, this universe is huge. It's humongous. And that brings me to my last point, number 10. Our lives are so small and our problems are even smaller. Yeah, you guys, our lives are just a blip. And I used to hate thinking about that, but I get so much comfort out of that today because it really puts things in perspective. All the things that I like to obsess over, like worrying that people won't like this podcast or obsessing over what this person thinks, at the end of the day, it's not really that important. I can obsess over those things if I want to, and I probably will because I'm a human. My thinking is never going to be perfect. I think we've trained each other in society to obsess about things and to be fearful of things and to worry about things. And I love that expression, comparison is the thief of joy. We spend so much time comparing ourselves to each other when we've got this beautiful life that we can just live. Anyways, those are my 10 things. Okay, now it's time for I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. Kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. I'm kind of a douchebag when I'm dealing with assholes. Yeah. All right. So yeah, let me break down what's going on here. Every week, I choose an asshole. There's always an asshole somewhere. And I don't know, I let them know what I think of them. Sometimes I do it by writing them a Facebook message or an Instagram message, and sometimes I just tell the camera right here. And so the asshole this week goes to dun, 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 Donald Trump. And I have a feeling he's going to win this award quite a bit because, y'all, he is such a fucking asshole. I'm sorry, he just is. There are so many different reasons why I could say he's an asshole, but this week specifically, he did something, and it's not the most dramatic thing he's done. He's done some really dramatic things like getting people to attack our nation's capital over stolen election claims, or saying that he wanted to grab women by the pussy, or mocking disabled people. He's done all sorts of stuff. You know, all the greatest hits. But this week, he did something that was just so fucking insane. And so I just want to let him know how insane I think it is. Hey, Donald. This is Daniel, and I know you're probably never going to watch this because you're just busy, you know, golfing or whatever the fuck you do. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the fact that you, a sitting president, just took it upon yourself to say that you want to revoke the citizenship of somebody who was born here, who has been part of American culture for decades, and has a lot of fans who love her. And yeah, I am talking about your nemesis, Rosie O'Donnell. And I know for some of your people who may be watching this podcast, they probably hate her too because they think she's a loudmouth lesbian or whatever. And yes, she can be. But you want to know what? She's a woman who's accomplished a lot of stuff in her life, and I just can't believe that you have the audacity to think that you can just revoke people's citizenships because you don't like them. You think that they're just like nasty people. The thing you're acting like is the thing that we warned all our MAGA friends you would act like. You're acting like a fucking dictator. You're acting like somebody who the freedom for people to be authentically who they are should not count if it's people that you don't like. Like, the barometer is just that you think that Rosie O'Donnell, I don't know, I guess because she's called you out on all your bullshit. And yes, she lives in Ireland right now with her family because when you became president, she was like, okay, fuck this, I'm out of here. She's still an American citizen, though. There's a lot of Americans who live abroad. They live in other countries. Sometimes they just live there for a little while, and sometimes they get dual citizenship. Right now, from what I can gather, she's still an American. She has every right to go over to Ireland and live there with her family. They didn't feel safe here with you as president. And so, for some reason, even with all your billions of dollars and your fucking cryptocurrency scams and all your fucking stupid, like, Donald Trump cell phones and gold sneakers and all the other bullshit that you hawk, you still can't deal with the fact that people don't like you. You know what you remind me of a lot of times? You remind me of, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, everybody's rooting for Pee-wee, but you remind me of, like, that rich kid Francis Like, we're not supposed to like that character, Francis. And so when I see people fawning over you and thinking you're the best fucking thing since sliced bread, like fawning over this spoiled fucking rich douchebag, it's like they're fawning over Old Man Potter in It's a Wonderful Life, or they're fawning over Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I'm like, who thinks that these people are sympathetic? Like, I don't get it. But anyways, Donald, America isn't this party that you have a guest list to and you get to decide who's going to get to come to the party. If people are American and they're here, they get to be here. It doesn't matter if you like them. And here's why this is such a lame thing that you said that you wanted to revoke her citizenship. First of all, you legally can't. But the fact that you even said that as president tells me that you don't even know what's constitutional. You're a fucking president. You're like the leader of the fucking free world. And you don't even understand how this Constitution thing works. And you don't understand how this American citizenship thing works. You clearly don't. Like, so if you revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship, like, not that you can, but like just for hypothetical reasons, let's just say you could. Then what? Then are you going to just like go through America and anybody you don't like? I mean, that would be, according to you, probably half of America, because you already said that you hated Democrats. You actually said that. You said you fucking hated Democrats. So what, are you going to like, you know, revoke all of our citizenships? Because none of us like you. I mean, I don't know any Democrat who does like you. Why would we? You're a fucking moron. But anyways, yeah, this is me just saying, as an American citizen, fuck you, Donald Trump. Fuck you for even thinking that you could revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship or anybody's citizenship that you didn't like. This is not your fucking party. This is not your fucking Little Lord Fauntleroy party. This is America. And in America, we get to have fucking opinions. And we get to have opinions about you. And a lot of us do. And so, as somebody with an opinion, again, fuck you, Donald Trump. Fuck you. All right. That's me being a douchebag. I got a surprise for you guys, because I actually had a second place asshole that did not make it into the top spot. But man, she was such an asshole that I need to mention her. So here we go. This person won second place asshole. This person won second place asshole. This person won second place asshole. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an honor just to be nominated. Oh my God. So, all right. This second place asshole, she did not win top spot. Donald Trump won. But yeah, this lady in Florida, good Lord. A Florida city suspended one of its council members over hateful social media posts, including one mocking victims of the Pulse shooting. Basically what happened was this lady, Judith Fike, after the Pulse shooting, where almost 50 people got shot by this homophobic asshole. For those of you who don't know, I don't know why you wouldn't know this, but Pulse was a gay nightclub, and a shooter went there and he shot up the whole nightclub. It was, I think, the second deadliest mass shooting in American history, the first being Las Vegas. But yeah, 50 people died. What should have been like a really fun night out at a nightclub, you know, a bunch of people died. So anyways, this woman, when it happened, she said, "Duh, why would the shooter target a gay club? My answer, easier than marching them up steps to push them off the roof." Okay, she was basically making a joke about the Pulse nightclub shooting, basically saying, well, he could have just pushed them off the roof of a building like they do in the Middle East. Now, she's claiming that when she said that, she was saying it in solidarity with the gay community, which makes no fucking sense. This same woman also apparently had posted this photo of Ronald Reagan, quote unquote, babysitting Obama, and Obama was a monkey. Ronald Reagan, back when he was an actor, he did these movies with a monkey called Bonzo. And there was a picture of Ronald Reagan and Bonzo, and she said something like, "Oh, here's Ronald Reagan babysitting Obama." You know, basically saying that like Obama was a monkey because, you know, he's black. But now she claims she's not racist and she's not homophobic. So anyways, she wins the second place award for being an asshole. So Judith, yeah, you know, just go fuck yourself. I mean, you sound like a miserable, fucking horrible person. All right, you guys. So now it comes to my favorite part of the show. I think we should listen to some voicemails. Let's listen to some voicemail. Let's listen to some voicemail. Voicemails. Yeah. All right. Let's see who called. Remember, you can leave a voicemail by going to speakpipe.com/thereisnogod and we're all gonna die, and you could be on the podcast.
Hey Daniel, how you doing? This is Greg calling from Youngstown, Ohio. I love that you're doing a podcast. And my question was, what do you think about creativity? You're a creative artist on so many levels. I wondered what you thought about creative energy and where does that come from? I like to believe that creative energy is God. So that's just my take, but would love to hear your thoughts about that. Thanks.
Oh, Greg, that's a wonderful question. What do I think of creativity? I think that there's a lot of different ways people can be creative. I think that everybody has creativity in them. Some people it's more obvious. I mean, obviously, I'm a very creative person. I do music, I do art. I'm doing like this podcast. I think that creativity is one of the most beautiful things we get to experience here on the planet, because everything we look at, like if I'm looking around this room right now, every single thing I'm looking at is the result of somebody's creativity. This iPhone that I'm filming this with, creativity. This little spiral notebook paper, artists were involved in making this. Artists were involved in making this microphone. These glasses, my glasses. Somebody put creativity into that. Like even like the pattern on the glasses, everything. Creativity is everywhere. When I look back over my own creativity, I think it all comes from a really pure place. Remember being a little kid, and little kids are born artists, like all little kids. I remember when I was a little kid, I would go out in my backyard and I would just sit in a lawn chair and I'd rock back and forth, and I would just close my eyes and I would just make up songs, or I would like dance around my backyard making up songs. I remember, now I'm really dating myself, but disco was really big back then. And so I would make up disco songs in my backyard, and my mom, she'd be washing dishes and she would see me out there through the picture window dancing around and like making up all these like really silly songs. And then I used to do things like I would put on plays in my room and I would like make tickets and go and pass them around the house. Like I'm putting on a play in my room. And so then people would have to go and like sit on my bed, and like I would like thumbtack up sheets. So then I would like jump out and I would have puppets and stuff. Yeah, I think from a very early age, I was one of those kids that was constantly creating stuff. Like one of our favorite things to do, and it's so weird to think about today, but like we would do things like make haunted houses. And so one of us would have to go entertain ourselves for a couple hours, and then the other kids would all rally around and we'd make this walk through haunted house in one of our basements. And then the kid would come back and walk through, and we'd jump out and like, okay, you're going to jump out here. And then like, we're going to have this ghost hanging here. And we'd put all this effort into this. And it's crazy that the kid who walked through it would have to go off and do their own thing for a while. And then they'd come back and we would have this haunted house that we made. You know, I don't know, like we were always doing stuff like that growing up. And so, I don't know, for me, I always want to have some of that energy in my life. I always want to have the energy of like, if I'm faced with a moment and I feel bored, well, what can I create? What can I do right now? And it doesn't always have to mean I have to create something so that I will succeed in life. Like sometimes like I can just create things just for the sake of creating them. I'll just use my music as an example. I always wanted to do music, but society was always showing me what a successful musician was. You were on MTV, you had music videos, you had platinum records, you had your song on the radio, and that was what a successful musician was. And so from a very young age, society was telling me and millions of people just like me, if you want to do music, this is what needs to happen for you to be successful. So unfortunately, only a couple people can get that type of success. It really is kind of like winning the lottery, because for everybody who ends up on the cover of Rolling Stone or has a hit single, there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people who are also vying for that. And as an atheist, I kind of believe it's dumb luck. My whole life I had people telling me, you're so talented. It's destiny. It's just a matter of time and you're going to be famous. So for a long time, when you have all these people telling you, oh, it's destiny, it's destiny, it's destiny, then you're sitting around waiting for destiny to happen. And then when it doesn't happen, or if it almost happens, like in my case, I did get a big record deal and I was working with Elton John for a while and they sunk a ton of money into my music career and then it didn't work out. Which is why, like, I can go into Dollar General and nobody knows who I am in my little podunk town. When you're told your whole life that this thing's going to happen, then it doesn't, it can make you very bitter. And I was for a long time. I mean, I started drinking again and then I fucking became a big mess. But the reality is, when I get rid of words like destiny and God's going to do all this stuff for me, and I just think, well, it's just dumb luck. I don't know, for me, there's something really comforting about that because suddenly God's not conspiring against me because it didn't work out. Instead, I can just say, oh, it didn't fucking work out. It worked out for somebody else because that's just the way the fucking cookie crumbled. And it had nothing to do with me being unworthy of it or that I was somehow not as good. It just means that that person was in the right place at the right time and shit happened. I really think it's no different than somebody picking the right lottery numbers and then they hit the jackpot. They could have picked a couple different numbers and not won that big jackpot. Please no, I'm not saying don't work towards things, because I do think we increase our chances for things to work out in our favor if we show up and we do the work. I honestly do believe that. But there are no guarantees. We have to be willing to show up and honor our creativity and honor all the things that we love to do, with the caveat that we may just be honoring them for the sake of honoring them because they fulfill us. It may not lead to a hit single or a $1 million painting or a best-selling novel. It may just mean that we were able to create something. We have to be okay with that. And the more I embrace that, the more I want to create, because now I'm not doing it to get some sort of result. When I make my creativity about the results, then I'm fucked. Because let me tell you, even filming this podcast and worrying about people not liking me or thinking that I'm being mean because of the title of the podcast, man, it kept me from doing it forever. Just fucking do it. Creativity is awesome. Just, if you can afford to spend some time, and I know we all have to work jobs and we need to go, do this or do that or the other thing. But if you can afford to spend some time with your creativity, man, that's the gift right there. And if people want to financially support it later on, even better. But anyways, so great question. I loved it. It got me excited to, I don't know, be creative later on after I finished doing this podcast. I know who that person was. That was my friend Greg Zukowski. He's an amazing painter, by the way. Beautiful stuff. A lot of abstract stuff. He's a very cool guy. All right, let's see. What else?
Hey, Daniel. It's Kevin from Highland, New York. I was wondering, what was harder for you, coming out as gay or coming out as an atheist? And I would love to hear those stories and how you came out for both. Oh. And I wish you such success on this podcast. I love the first edition, and I can't wait for the next. You take care. Love to Corey and the fur babies. Bye.
Oh. That is my lovely friend, Kevin. That is so lovely. Thank you for that great question. God, that is such a good question. Well, when I came out as gay, my first boyfriend's mom outed me, actually, to my parents, which is really shitty, but she did. She called up my parents, and she basically was like, your son's gay, and I don't want him hanging out around with my son. And it was a horrible way to come out of the closet. I came home from school, and my mom was like, Greg's mom called and apparently I guess you're gay, and I didn't know what to say, but thankfully my parents were really super cool. It's traumatizing. I remember growing up, you heard all the stuff like gays are perverts. I'm feeling kind of funny because I'm looking at this male underwear ad and I'm having sexual thoughts about this like model in the underwear ad. That scared the flying fuck out of me as a kid. I mean, I dated a girl for a couple of years and I really wanted to be straight. I didn't want to be gay. But you can't change biology. I am biologically gay. I believe that I was born gay. I believe that, the way my brain works is just different from the way a straight person's brain works. And I do believe that there is a spectrum. I think it's a spectrum. I think that there are people who are pretty much straight, and I think there's people who are pretty much gay, and then I think there's like a whole big middle area. There's a lot of people who they can be attracted to both sexes. I think that's just human nature. Yeah, coming out as gay in the 80s, when then AIDS hit and you had Ronald Reagan's press secretary making AIDS jokes at White House press briefings, and I think it was Jerry Falwell saying that AIDS was God's punishment to gay people. And then I was gay bashed really bad in 1990. Coming out gay was very scary, but I gotta say, maybe it's because I've been very comfortable with my gayness for decades now. If I was straight, I'd be proud that I was straight, but I'm gay, and so I'm fucking proud that I'm gay, I'm a big old friggin' penis-loving homosexual. I openly admit that. But, yeah. Oh, that was funny. But coming out as an atheist, that was actually very scary as well, because I live down south, and let me tell you, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, I am a people pleaser. I want to please everybody. And I have so many friends who are religious, who are devout Christians. My best friend in the whole world is Christian. He's my best friend, and he's actually a deacon at a church. And he totally supports me doing this podcast, by the way, and I love that. But I know that I have some friends who I know it breaks their heart that I don't believe in God. I know it does. I think that's the difficult thing about coming out as an atheist, is knowing that my belief is going to be upsetting to certain people, like that they are going to take it personally. And when I say there is no God, I'm basically telling them that I don't believe what they believe, that I think that what they believe is just like, it makes no sense. But here's the one caveat that I will say. Maybe not about the God thing, but definitely about the afterlife thing. Because I don't believe in an afterlife. I kind of believe it's lights out. But I hope I'm wrong. I said this last week. I hope I'm wrong. Wouldn't it be awesome if I was wrong? Because that means that when I die, instead of my thoughts ceasing to exist, they get to go on and they get to go to some magical place where people are flying around in robes, or I get to be reincarnated or something. Man, if that's the case, sign me up for it. I would love that. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just makes more sense that my body will break down and continue to nourish things for the rest of time, but, that I will cease to exist. And that is kind of a bummer. I won't lie. My belief system is kind of a bummer when it's viewed a certain way. But, it is what it is. I don't know what else to say about that. As a people pleaser, I want everything I say to be things that make people happy. And I know that living down here in the Bible Belt, when I say there is no God, people get defensive. People want to believe that there's a God. I get it. I can see why it would be comforting to think that there was this thing outside ourselves that was constantly watching over us and making sure we were okay. I think it's actually kind of creepy, because that means, like, I don't know, if I'm jerking off or something like that, God is watching me. No matter what we're doing, going to the bathroom, or there's a lot of things, like, I would not want anybody watching me. You know what I mean? So, like, that the whole God watching me all the time, I just find that very creepy. But, anyways, I digress. Thank you for the question. That was a great question. I hope I answered it. I kind of went all over the place, as I tend to do. Let's see, what else?
Hey, Daniel, it's Corey. I'm in the living room looking out the window at the thunderstorm rolling in, and I was thinking about things that scare us. And I'm wondering what monster you think is the scariest out of all of the mythological creatures, or the classic horror movie monsters, or the drive-in creature feature critters. What one scares you the most? Food for thought. Okay. Love you. Bye.
I will tell you. The fucking chauffeur in Burnt Offerings. And then the fucking voodoo doll, Karen Black, Trilogy of Terror, that friggin' little doll that was chasing her around. Both of these are Karen Black movies. I just realized Karen Black, amazing actress. But yeah, so the first one I mentioned, it was this made-for-TV movie with Bette Davis and Karen Black. This family goes to this mansion for the summer as caretakers. They all start dying and like all this stuff happens. The house is possessed, but this chauffeur shows up. And the guy hardly does anything, but he's like a vision, like he's not real. Like I think he symbolizes death, but it's this chauffeur and he's wearing like sunglasses. I know I'm not making it sound scary at all, but when you watch the movie, there's something so fucking creepy about this chauffeur. I don't know. You would have to watch the movie. But anyways, second answer is the little voodoo doll in Trilogy of Terror that terrorizes Karen Black. It chases her all around her apartment. And then I won't give away the ending, but something happens at the ending. But she gets this little voodoo doll. She's going to give it to her boyfriend as a present. But the thing is so fucking creepy looking. It like has these jacked up teeth and like this stringy hair and like these crazy looking demonic eyes. And then it has a little locket on it. And it's like, don't ever let the locket fall off, because if you do, you'll unleash the spirit. Well, of course, the locket falls off. So then it starts chasing her around and stabbing her in the ankles with its little spear, and she's like trying to kill it. Yeah, it's really bad. I think a monster that other people would know. I mentioned that I love the Twilight Zone, the old Twilight Zone. There's this Twilight Zone episode called It's a Good Life, and it's about this little boy who can control the entire universe with his mind. And he's really creepy looking. He looks kind of like Howdy Doody, but all the adults are just fawning over him and just acting like he's the best thing since sliced bread. And they don't even want to think bad thoughts around him, because if they do, he'll like send them to the cornfield. And apparently that's really bad. Or like he'll turn them into these really like deformed creatures. He can just do anything he wants. I gotta be honest with you, that little kid kind of fucking reminds me of Donald Trump and all of Donald Trump's little minions. Donald Trump is just basically surrounded by sycophants and yes men and people who are basically just sucking his butthole. He reminds me of that fucking kid from that Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life. Totally fucking reminds me of that kid grown up. So anyways, yeah, those are my scariest monsters. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, what else?
Hello, Daniel. This is Johnny and Mark from Phoenix, Arizona. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Daniel.
We are just checking in on you and wondering how your podcast is going. We've seen the first episode. It was great. So continue and let us know what's going on.
Okay. Well, there wasn't really a question. It was just a really nice message. Thanks, you guys. The podcast is going great. It's a lot harder to do than I thought. It really is. You know, I have a tendency to talk to myself all the time. So, like, because I work alone, I'm alone a lot. Like Corey is in his art studio, and then I'm in my music studio, or like I'm in my art studio. So I spend most of my days alone. I will spend entire days alone. And so as a result, I tend to talk to myself a lot. I'll be doing the podcast. I'll be thinking, oh, I need to talk about this in the podcast. And then I'll just start talking as if I'm fucking filming like a fucking crazy person. And then later on, like I mentioned earlier, I won't remember what it was I was talking about. And so I do think that as I continue to do the podcast, I'll get better about writing down ideas throughout the week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get a little notebook. I'm going to start jotting things down. I'm going to have it in my pocket at all times. I think that'll make this easier. But yeah, other than that, it's going really good. It's a learning experience. It turns out that there's a lot that I didn't know about doing a podcast. And so this is all a journey that if you guys watch the first episode, then that's lovely, because, you know, I think the world of you guys and I miss you. I can't wait to see you guys again at some point, because you're both adorable. But secondly, if you're watching the podcast from the first episode, that means that we all get to go on this journey together. So yay! All right. Love you guys. And let's see who else called.
Greetings from Ohio. This is Michael McLean. God, I hate the sound of my voice on these things, but it's all good. Not like I'm recording an album.
You have a nice voice.
Yeah. Remember rule number 1. Just because I can't sing doesn't mean I won't sing. Ha ha. Anyway, Much love to you, to your husband, to your doggies, and even to the God that you say doesn't exist.
He doesn't exist.
Because we've got to have faith in humanity.
Yes.
That we can get this situation we are currently living in turned the fuck around. We need to wake up.
Yep, we do.
Not to the teachings of God. We can learn lessons from the things that have been written in the name of God.
Yeah.
But we need to remember the humanity.
Yep.
And the humans behind that humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And start treating each other with a little more dignity and respect than we have been getting in the last, I don't know, 90 plus days of this administration. They are supposedly extremely religious, but yet they pick and choose the parts of the Bible that are convenient to them, convenient to them to use as weapons against people that are not like them, which, as I was taught, goes against everything the latter part of the Bible says about hating the sin, loving the sinner, we all know they're sinners, and they're just hearing the part about hate and skipping the part about love, other than loving their wealth, loving their voted in power, which is very temporary, hopefully, and the money that they are getting from it. Greed is going to be the downfall of them all.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I am sitting at the sidelines with my popcorn and my big old gay flag, waving my middle finger to all of them.
Aww.
And if any of that makes sense, you can go ahead and use this. And again, much love to you, to your husband, and to all of the doggies, especially the lovely Miss Cheez-Its.
Aww.
Have a safe and blessed day.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And I love the fact that you mentioned Miss Cheez-It. So Miss Cheez-It is our blind dog. She was born with no eyes. And she runs the fucking house. She literally, oh my God, she's here right now. She is here right now. She just literally, you could not make this up. Cheez-It, we can't see her because she's down on the ground. But anyways, I'm actually petting her right now. Cheez-It. Oh, there you are. Oh, you can see her. Oh, there's Miss Cheez-It. There's Miss Cheez-It. Yes, there's Miss Cheez-It. Oh, she's such a good girl. She's such a good girl. So, yes, it's fucked up. It is so fucked up. I agree with you. This administration fucking sucks. They're all a bunch of fucking assholes. They're a bunch of fucking diarrhea fountains. I say that with love because I don't hate anybody. I truly don't. I know that sounds crazy, but I believe that I'm supposed to be the love I want to see in the world. But I can love humanity, but still say that those people, I say this with love, are fucking assholes. Diarrhea fountains, like horrible, shitty assholes. And they're totally corrupt, and it's so obvious, too. Donald Trump, every time he opens his mouth, he lies. There's entire websites devoted to just tabulating all his lies. And I think last time I looked, there was like tens of thousands of lies. Provable lies. Provable lies. Not just liberal fake news, real provable lies. The whole January 6th thing was all based on lies. He knew that he lost that election. This is the thing that's so crazy to me. He actually admitted that he lost the 2020 election, but now he's still spreading stolen election claims. I mean, fucking pick a lane, dude. Anyways, yes, we need to show up in full force in 2026. Midterms. Vote them out. Midterms. Get registered to vote. They're really trying to make it hard for people to vote now, so make absolutely sure you have your ducks in a row. That is everybody's responsibility. There is no excuse not to take part in our election system. And I don't want to hear, well, they're all assholes. No. That's a cop-out. You don't have to like them all, but there's something called the lesser of two evils. And at this point, one is, maybe a little corporate, like the Democrats. Yeah, they're kind of centrist and corporate, but they're not fucking evil and dangerously stupid. And that's what we have on the other side. Humanity can't afford it. We can't afford what Trump's doing to the environment and human rights and voting rights and, the Constitution and acting like a fucking dictator. No, we just can't afford it. We need to get rid of this. I truly think it's like a cancer on America. So anyways, midterms. Get registered to vote. All right. Thank you so much. You said a lot of beautiful things, and I do agree. A lot of beautiful concepts come from religion, like love thy neighbor. That's a beautiful concept. Do good deeds. I mean, I don't need a middleman to tell me that, but yes, a lot of people look to religion to get these really beautiful concepts. I'm not knocking that, like the concept of forgiveness. It's hard to forgive, for instance, when you are being tormented. It's hard to forgive people during the tormenting. So I'm having a hard time forgiving the Trump administration right now because, it's all happening right now. Maybe later on down the road, I don't know, like a couple decades from now, could I forgive them? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Right now, I'm just concerned about voting them all out. So, anyways, I think we have one more question.
Good morning, Daniel. This is Big Gay Ed from Michigan. My question for you today is, what the fuck? You could probably fill in anything after that statement, but my what the fuck is, what the fuck are our elected Democratic officials doing in Washington to get rid of this idiot who's ruining our country, destroying our natural resources, bankrupting our financial...
I guess he got cut off. Big Gay Ed. You got cut off. Darn it. You can call back, though. But yes, I mean, hey, everything I just said, I agree. They need to be doing more. Everybody who's not in the Republican Party right now, and even Republicans who still have some sort of sense of right and wrong, and I know that they exist. I don't think all Republicans are evil. So, all Democrats, all liberals, all libertarians, all Republicans who have a sense of right and wrong, it's gone beyond Republican and Democrat. Like, that's just such a quaint thing. It's actually like, I believe, good versus evil. I mean, I truly believe that the Trump administration, it's fucking evil. The cruelty really is the point. Stripping all mention of diversity, getting rid of like any mention of like true American history and like the fact that American history was forged through not just white straight Christian men, but like all sorts of people. But now we're like literally whitewashing American history because God forbid we admit that diversity exists. I mean, even renaming the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, that reminds me of some guy lifting his leg. Like, when a dog will lift its leg and scent something? That's Donald Trump lifting his leg and fucking peeing on Mexico. That's what that reminds me of. And now he wants to put his face on Mount Rushmore. Yeah, the whole thing is just so whacked. And I'm sorry, it'll always be the Gulf of Mexico. But I think being an asshole and being like cruel is the point of a lot of this, I really think that was the whole point of this first 90 days was like, let's just make them feel hopeless. Let's make anybody who's not a conservative Christian nationalist just feel fucking hopeless. Just like try to like beat them down so that they don't even want to try to fight back. But I think they underestimate us because I know for me, it's just made me more resolved to be involved. And it's one of the reasons why I finally decided to start this podcast. I was like, fuck that shit. You don't get to act like a dictator in my country without me at least saying something. And I know it's silly. It's just a little fucking podcast. I don't care. At least it's something. And I believe that true change happens. It's not just one big thing. It's a bunch of small little acts. We have to speak up. We have to use our voice. I do this podcast because I want to be part of the change, even if it's just from my home. I can broadcast my thoughts out into the world. Will it change anything? I don't know, but at least it's something. It's better than me just sitting around stewing about it. Man, I just got all worked up. All right, well, you guys, I actually think that's it. Is there any other calls? I think that's the end of my podcast. Wow. We reached the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. It's time to end the show. All right, you guys. So I'll be back next week with another episode. Very quickly, go to danielcartier.com if you want to check out my music or my art. If you want to subscribe to this podcast, there's links to do that. If you want to call in, if you actually just go to danielcartier.com, right on the homepage, there's a link to call into the show. There's a button right there, right on the homepage. Call the show. So just go to danielcartier.com. You can just click on that button right on the homepage. I'm going to wish you all a lovely week, and I look forward to seeing you again. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God and we're all gonna die. There is no God, there's just you and I.